he was standing like 20 feet away. She didn't know that he had he was trying to save the bike for any reason. And so she just walks over, scans the bike, and starts to pull it out.
So e-bikes only make up about 20% of the city bikes. The rest of the bikes are just regular pedal bikes. E-bikes are obviously going to be a little bit more preferable for people because they're electronic and whatever. Whereas the other ones like take work and energy, etc. She just got off of a 12-hour shift. I can imagine her feeling like I just worked a 12-hour shift. I want to just ride an e-bike to get all the way to my house. And so that's what she would have probably preferred.
We are encouraging people to do things where they are likely to get shot. And we are encouraging them to do things where they can get shot, like where he is assaulting this woman and stopping her from moving and practically kidnapping her in this scenario.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, it has been a minute, man.
How have you been?
Doing good. Streaming over on YouTube these days.
Okay, sounds good.
So I only tuned into the latter half, maybe even the latter quarter of that conversation. So I wanted to ask a couple of questions just before so I can understand. So the Karen's receipts, hers shows that she paid for the bike at the start of the interaction. It sounded like you were discounting that for some reason. Is there?
Oh, sure. So what I was saying was that that the young boy had his receipts, and his receipts he had that same exact bite. I mean, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Let me just finish setting this up so I got you cleanly. I can make it.
I think I understand. So you're going to say he had principled possession of the bike,
sure,
even though she paid for it.
No.
I agree.
Not just even though he paid for it. It's just because of the fact that he had rented that bike for a total of like an hour and a half before that interaction. Did you know that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say yes, that would be principled possession, I guess.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah. So I completely agree with that. The bikes don't charge at the docking station. They get charged by employees later, so they pick them up in trucks and take them off to charge them. But the bikes don't actually charge at the docking station. You have increments of how far you can ride a bike, so different plans have different things. So you can do you can get an all-day pass for 30-minute increments, or you could get a 7-day pass for 45-minute increments, but each time you only have like a certain amount of time before you have to dock it. And the reason that you have to dock it for every so often is so that somebody else can come and take possession of the bike, so that it's not just hogged by one person the entire time.
I mean, I guess maybe that might be the reasoning for that. There's nowhere where City Bike stated that that's the reason why they did that. You're making an assumption there. I would imagine that maybe they just went to 45 minutes, so that way, like, they can always keep track of like where you are, where the bike is, like more frequently, as opposed to it just being like almost like a pinging effect. Or also, yeah, I would imagine maybe it's just to encourage people to take shorter rides to make sure that they're more available, that they are more available, just to make them more frequently available. I could imagine that also being a possibility, but I would also imagine that there's plenty of people who want the bike for extended reasons, for whatever reasons, and I think that they would probably be within their rights to continue to have that bike for an extended day if they wanted to. Because there's going to be times where you want to travel further than 45 minutes, and I could imagine, like, as opposed to just paying those exorbitant fees, that somebody would want to dock the bike and recheck it out. And I think that sounds reasonable, and I think plenty of people do that on a regular basis.
So let's say he was standing like 20 feet away. She didn't know that he had he was trying to save the bike for any reason. And so she just walks over, scans the bike, and starts to pull it out. And then they run over. Would you look at this situation differently?
Of course. At that point, he didn't have possession of the bike.
Okay. So from what I understand, from her side of things, that is exactly what happened. And when you watch the video, they actually ask, the guy walking with the phone says, "Muhammad, did you pull the bike out?" And he says, "Yes, I did."
He says it's on my account. Yeah. He said it's on my account.
He says he pulled the bike out.
He says it's on my account. In response to that, I'm fairly certain I can play it right now for you. Would you like?
I mean, even if that was the case, they're asking him if he undocked the bike, right? And he's saying yes, but then he says, "Okay, I it's on my account."
I don't believe
Wouldn't
he said
that
yes.
mean
I
that
think
she?
he didn't
Can we
say
just
yes.
play it?
Yeah, let's just play it.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Here, 1 second. Let me find it. 1
I
second.
said no. I said sit down.
Please.
She's just crying. You're not crying. You're not crying. I got your video. Wait, you pulled it out? Hey, Hassan, you pulled it out? Hassan, you pulled it out?
This is my bike. It's on my account.
That's what he said. In response to, did you pull it out? He said, this is my bike. It's on my account.
Okay, so if she paid for it, would it necessarily still be his bike? Because she has receipts showing that she did pay for it.
If she paid for it in bad etiquette by taking the bike that he was already, like as you said, had possession of, and then scanned it while he had possession of it, then in that case, then yes, I would say that he would feel rightfully that it's his bike, especially after he forced it back into the dock. So in that point, yes, I would say, yes, this is my bike. And at the time when he asked the question is after Michael had already taken the bike back and scanned it with his phone. So like it had rechecked out the bike with his phone. So yes, at the point when he asked that question, the bike was on his account, and I think it was rightfully on his account, and I think she violated etiquette by trying to get that bike in the first place.
I agree with this, but by her reassigning the bike, you do agree that he is assaulting her by grabbing the bike, forcing it back into the docking station.
I don't agree in
and
any
then taking
capacity.
it.
I don't agree in any capacity that he's assaulting her. If he was assaulting her, then she assaulted him when she scanned the bike and tried to back it up while he had possession of the bike. So then in that case, then no, I don't think that it's assault. I think it's a defensive action for this young boy to take the bike and put it back into the dock so he can continue owning the bike that he got, that she forcefully took, that he had material possession of at the time.
She's actually on the bike and he is impeding her from moving. She is
So
not
you're saying-
impeding him from going anywhere.
So you're saying after he violated the etiquette by taking the bike that he had in his possession, effectively stealing the bike from him, you're saying at that point that for him to put the bike back where he originally had it, even just by her simply sitting on the bike at that point, that somehow gives her some more special provisions? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
paying for the bike and
But
sitting on it.
stealing the
So
bike, paying for the bike, stealing the bike that I have actual possession of at this point. I have it. It's my bike that I have, and you go and you scan this bike while I have possession of it. At this point, you stole it from me. You violated the etiquette. I had it. I was the rightful user, and you took it from me. So if at that point, after you take the bike from me, that was mine, I don't feel bad for putting the bike back into its station. It sounds like what you're insinuating is once she scanned it, that's how she paid for it. So once she scanned it, even though it was rightfully his, even though you admitted earlier that was violation of etiquette, you're saying that because she sat on the bike now she has special provisions that it somehow supports her thievery, and now it's actually hers. And for him to keep that bike right there that was rightfully his is wrong. That's what you're saying?
And not only that, but she has every right to use self-defense in this scenario because he is assaulting her and stopping her from moving. Okay. So let's say like I go to Walmart and I ask the guy in the technology department to grab headphones out of the case. So he grabs them out of the case and he hands them to me. And I walk from the back of the Walmart all the way up to the front to scan these out. And as soon as I put it down on the register, somebody else walks over, grabs them, scans them, taps their card. That is now their headphones. I can't stop them from walking out with those headphones just because they dicked me over. They did dick me over. That is a messed up thing to do. But for me to now take an illegal action to stop them when it is legally their property now,
it was illegal. It would have been illegal for them to take the object that was in your possession at that time. Guaranteed, if somebody did that, say it was the last pair of headphones and it was particularly valued by me and I got it and the person went and stole it and scanned it in that situation, that would be a form of theft and I could sue that person for it. Guaranteed.
It's only theft if it's actually my property, though. In this case, it is not. And it's the case in this situation that it is not his property and that he can switch accounts.
That is not the way it works. It is your property the second you put it in your cart. If I go to other people's cart and take objects out of their shopping cart while they're shopping, and I just say, well, you haven't paid for it yet, and I take it out of your shopping cart, that is theft. You can sue a person for that in the United States of America. It's still my property the second I grabbed it and I put it in my cart.
As far as I know, it's not your property until
It
you've paid
is.
for
It
it.
is absolutely. It is with it is respective to the other customers who are doing it. Yes, the store still owns it, and it's still my responsibility to pay for it. But with regard to another person taking it from my cart, that is illegal. I can look it up for you if you need me to, but I'm positive that that's the case, and I could sue you for taking this thing out of my cart.
Okay, you just sue. Okay, maybe, but even if
So then
that's
it's
the
legally
case,
mine.
even if that's the case, well, I don't think it is legally yours. So you can sue me for it. But if I literally try to stop you from walking out with it, you have the right to use self-defense in this scenario. Like,
I don't want to have the
they are-
semantic thing. It's mine. If I put it in my cart, it's mine until I give it possession of it.
This entire argument is a semantic argument.
Well,
We're
if that's-
talking about principled possession versus legal ramifications. Like, yes,
Okay.
of course.
I got you. Well, I'm telling you, I don't want to have a conversation about semantics. So if that's the crux of the argument, then I don't really want to have the conversation any further.
Okay, so I'll just say, like, my issue here is that we are encouraging people to do things where they are likely to get shot, and we are encouraging them to do things where they can get shot, like where he is assaulting this woman and stopping her from moving and practically kidnapping her in this scenario. She could literally just use any self-defense measures, and I see no reason why they wouldn't be justified.
Do you think that a person stealing an object out of my shopping cart should be subject to my self-defense measures?
I think it's well, if I considered it theft, I think that it's, in some way you would be able to stop them, depending on the state. Some states
Okay.
don't let you shoot somebody for
Sure,
stealing,
maybe not sure. I'm
but-
not talking about shooting. I'm saying, should they be subject to my self-defense measures? And it sounds like your answer to that is yes. So then it sounds like then that boy reasonably defended himself and retained possession of the object by forcing it back into the docking station so he could scan it on his phone. Sounds like you agree with that. In these other situations, what makes this situation substantively different?
In this case, they both have legal possession of this. If it's actually under his account, it is also under her account.
They don't. So in
and
the shopping cart situation, then, so let me say, so once the person takes the object out of my cart, you're saying we both have possession of it?
I think that it's a little bit different if there's actually
you,
like
but just
if
stick
it's
with
actually
the
out of a shopping cart. But yeah, I think if they paid for it.
No, not
once
paid
they
for
paid
it. Not paid for it, but just let me. Well, sure, okay, perfect. So if the person stole the object out of my cart and then scanned it and paid for it, you're saying that it's legally theirs.
Yes.
Could I sue them for it and make them have to return it?
I have no idea, because this is a very common thing on Black Fridays, where people are taking things out of each other's hands and then just trying to get to the counter just to scan it. And then once it's scanned, like,
and it's incredibly violent. Black Friday, we see Black Friday riots on a regular basis, and we obviously understand that everybody recognizes it. If I have possession of something, if I've paid for it or not, if you take it from me, things will get violent. So it sounds like you're encouraging this Karen to do this behavior again, because as long as she scans the information, then at that point it now belongs to her, and so then any violence or anything that he does, she can legally defend herself, including shooting the man. So at that point, then now we're encouraging people to just take things from other people that are in their possession, so that way then they can then claim it. That sounds ridiculous, and it sounds chaotic, and everyone recognizes that's absolutely absurd. When you have possession of something, be it paid for or not, once it's in my car or once I have possession of it, then that's that. Please do not interject. You said you wouldn't.
that's why I'm calling it principled possession, because in this case, these are bikes that are there for the public to use, and each person can grab the bikes. Now, if he has it in the docking station, then legally it is not his, but principally, sure, like, he has dibs on it. And that's, of course, it's an uncivilized manner to just come up and grab something that somebody else had. But why is it in the docking station if it doesn't charge? And I can send you the link showing you that they do not charge in the docking station. Why is it just sitting in the docking station? 1, and 2, why, once she left, did he not take the bike? Why did he put it back in the docking station and leave it there?
I think the reason why what do you mean? We don't know that he put it in the docking station and left it there. We don't.
We have his receipt.
What we have is a receipt that says that he checked it out and docked it at the same place over 6 minutes. I don't know if you've been to New York before, but it is very frequent for you to make a very quick trip to like a bodega or a very quick trip to a pizza shop or whatever, and then get your thing and then immediately go back to wherever you are. I remember taking trains, getting off at the train station for a specific halal cart, getting my halal, and then getting right back on the train and going right back to the train station, or getting off of a train station to go to a specific cart where a guy sold belts, and I got myself a $5 belt and then immediately went back to the train station and went on to my destination. There's all of these quick stop and goes within New York City. I remember going through a small little thing where it was dang near like a walkthrough. It was like they had all the pizza there. I just went there. It seemed like kind of like a 7-Eleven, grabbed my slice of pizza, and then we continued going on about our way. So there's plenty of things. You can make a quick stop within a liquor store. There are a billion different places. New York is one of the most busy cities I've ever been to in my freaking life. The idea that he couldn't make a quick 6-minute excursion is ridiculous. We have no proof whatsoever that he just left the bike there. But what we do have proof of is the fact that that boy had intended to use that bike for a very long time, and he eventually took the bike back to his home. He had traveled a very long distance on that bike, so I would imagine that he intended to use the exact same bike to get back home, and he did. So that was about a 3.5-hour trip or a 3-hour trip that boy had that bike, and I think that was reasonable. And the idea that we can say, well, Joe, so just because you weren't actively using it at that point, sitting by the station having the bike, that's not fair in some sort of way is ridiculous. Just to be clear, yes, it is illegal in plenty of jurisdictions for you to take something out of someone's shopping cart that they have ownership of. That is considered either shoplifting or theft in plenty of cases.
Do we you said we know that he took that bike back home? Do we? I didn't see that receipt. The only one that I saw is that he had it for 6 minutes. One of the minutes is on camera, and then we know that he traveled a long distance from one area to that spot, and then apparently from that spot 6 more minutes, and then right back there. But I don't have the one that shows that he actually went back home on these bikes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I get it. So yeah, he posted a total of 5 receipts. The 5th receipt was the one the one that was taking him back home. I can send you the 5th receipt right now if you would like.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Sure. Did you not see all of his receipts and all that stuff? Like, how are you?
I saw what the sister posted and what the lawyer posted.
Oh, they did an entire article where they posted 5 different receipts and all of those things and noted all those things. Did you not watch my video?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I tuned into this towards the end.
Yeah, here we are. Look, here's the final receipt. He didn't just take the bike and leave it there. He used the bike all the way until 8:41 p.m. And his very first receipt, which I can send to you right now, started at 5:33 p.m. There's the very first receipt, 5:33 p.m. 5:53, excuse me. But yeah, he used the bike 5 times total. And look, for that first one, I mean, it was only 11 minutes, wasn't it? Oh no, my math is bad. That was 13 minutes. We used the bike for 13 minutes.
So I see 2 receipts. The first one is 7:59 to 8:41.
No, the first one, obviously, like in chronological order, would be the one from 5:53 to 6:06 p.m. It was just a 13-minute ride.
Okay. So yeah, so so now that I understand that part. Okay. So I don't understand. One, why we believe that she did just walk up and take a bike from a guy when there were other bikes. Why do we believe that? Well,
because it was an e-bike. So e-bikes only make up about 20% of the city bikes. The rest of the bikes are just regular pedal bikes. E-bikes are obviously going to be a little bit more preferable for people because they're electronic and whatever. Whereas the other ones like take work and energy, etc. She just got off of a 12-hour shift. I can imagine her feeling like I just worked a 12-hour shift. I want to just ride an e-bike to get all the way to my house. And so that's what she would have probably preferred. Him and his friends, they had e-bikes. And so that was the bike that Michael intended to use. Those are particularly coveted. That's why she wanted that bike.
But those are the only ones, because in the sister story and in the lawyer story, they both said there are other bikes, but yeah, they didn't specify whether or not the other bikes were electric or not.
The other bikes weren't e-bikes. That's why she was asking. That's why she was asking the friends for friends and him for his bikes.
Okay. Because yeah, that's what the sister said, is that she walked up and asked if she could use it, and then when they said no, she just scanned it anyways.
Yes, but she wanted an e-bike because he wanted an e-bike, and the News One article mentioned that he walked around 20 minutes looking for the e-bike because that was the bike that he intended to be using for those hours. And so they walked around until they found an e-bike and then used that bike. And once they used that bike, then that was the bike that they were going to be using for the day, and they did. Until City Bike Karen came and thought she could steal one from him. Tom, you're an honest man. Do you think it's reasonable that if this kid used this bike for that many hours and she came smack dab in the middle, do you think it's reasonable to assume that he probably was recognizing, considering he had to walk 20 minutes just to find the bike, that it was a coveted bike, and so that he should stand next to it while it's in the docking station so no one else steals it? Do you think that's a reasonable assumption?
I do. And again, that's why I think that, like, it makes sense that if he actually had some sort of principled possession of this, it would be wrong of her to walk up and take it.
That's why I've always been a fan of you, because you do not understand. I'm not kidding you, Tom. You are the very first person I've had a conversation with that is actually willing to admit that simple fact. That's so reasonable given all the receipts I have. 4 conversations now that I will not upload because I'm talking to idiots who can't concede basic ideas like that. That's why you were always a better person than everybody else on this platform. Even though we've disagreed about a billion things, you've never heard me say negative things about you all this time. Not once, right? You've always been more reasonable than everyone else. Legitimately. I wish you were still here on Twitch. I'd like to make content with you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Well, yeah, I guess I'll have to look into it more because, yeah, I haven't seen all of the brother's story. And I looked up, like, before I jumped on, because I went and looked up to see if there were more receipts, and I couldn't find any more. So I'll have to look at that one.
But I'll link you the article. Here, I'll link you the article. Let me find it for you really quick. It won't take long because it was just News One, and I've never been to that website before. Yeah, it was him and his mother. They spoke out. And then they talked about them being part of him being part of a program called City Bike Angels and things like that. So he's very familiar with etiquette and like how to use these bikes and all of those things. So it sounds very realistic to me that he understood he needed to sit by that bike. So there's that. So that's a whole article where they give his mother's account. They have all of the other all the receipts and everything else. They gave a full interview. And it was only after these receipts got posted that the lawyer for Sarah Jane Comrie actually posted her receipts, because prior to that she hadn't posted a single, like, all of her receipts were so redacted that they didn't give you any information. They didn't tell you the name of the bike, they didn't tell you what time the bike was, they didn't tell you the location of the receipt, so it didn't give you any information at all. And the lawyer later on said that he did that in order to protect her, like, whatever, but now since the information was public that he would go ahead and release it. So yeah, you'll get a lot of information from this article. I also made 2 videos on it. You can watch those on my YouTube channel if you want to. If you don't, it's fine.
Sure. And then do they have other witnesses saying, because he had like 3 I think he had 3 other friends with him. Do they actually testify that he was standing there with the bike?
I don't know that they testified that, but I think it's realistic to assume that they did, because again, all of them were using these city bikes, and so they knew that, like, they were going to be using them together. Why would you leave it unattended if you knew people were going to take that? However, they didn't make the statement, and at this point it hasn't gone legal, because guess what? Sarah Jane Comrie decided she didn't want it to go legal. She said she didn't want any legal ramifications or anything. And I think the reason for that is because she knows she came up to those things and took that bike from that boy, and now that we got those receipts, she's looking real bad, and she's trying desperately to keep her job. The lawyer that they got, they tried to lie and say that, she hired a lawyer and da-da-da-da-da. It wasn't her lawyer. It was a union appointed lawyer whose entire purpose was to help her keep her job. That's what she got, because she got placed on leave. It had nothing to do with her thinking this would go criminal, had nothing to do with her pressing charges whatsoever. She hasn't pursued that because she's going to get the one that gets bodied, and there's probably going to be security footage somewhere, and we're going to eventually get to that. And when we see that, we're going to see her approach those boys just to make sure that additional information is there. Again, these boys had been using this bike for over an hour by the time they got into this confrontation. About an hour and a half. She had just ended her shift. Given that, do you think it's reasonable that these boys who had been using these bikes for an hour and a half at this point were standing there by the bikes, and she came up to them and asked them, hey, can I get on the bike? By the way, another piece of information, she also says, inside of the News One story article, the mother says that the kid, that she asked the boys, can I use the bike? And then said, please, can you help a pregnant lady out? That's why she was asking for the e-bike. And guess what? In the video, you can hear them saying, I don't care if she's pregnant, she can walk.
Well, so I
Sounds
find
consistent.
it like I find it reasonable to believe that they would stand there next to the bikes. I also find it reasonable to think that it would be crazy for a girl to walk up to 4 black guys and just take a bike from them and try to ride off without them, thinking that she was ever going to get away with it. So it's still he said, she said, and that's why I'm asking for other witnesses. And if there actually is going to be a court case, because I find it insane that she did not call the cops. If this is if her story is accurate, she should have freaking called the cops. There's no freaking way she doesn't call the cops, right? So
she didn't, and she didn't even want to. And I want to point out to you, by the way, you think that it's insane that she would do that, but she went over there and she stole his phone in the middle of the altercation. Did he freeze? I think his internet might have gone out. It did.
Yeah, I think I think he froze.
Interesting.
It's a funny frame to freeze.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It reset for me.
The only thing I was going to interject with earlier was just you guys were talking about possession. I just want to point out, because you guys were given the grocery store example, I don't think, even in the grocery store, I don't think you technically have, well, you have possession physically, but you don't have ownership of something until you check it out or you walk out of the store with it, which would be stealing. So well,
then why would we legally charge you with theft if you take something from someone else's shopping cart?
Do we do that?
Yes.
I don't know that.
That's what we
in
went
several
over.
Jurisdictions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There are some states that do it. There are some states that don't.
Right.
That's what I was looking up a minute ago. So so what I was saying is that there's a lot of,
if I haven't paid for it, and guess what? If you went and paid for it, it still didn't change the fact that it's theft. Guess what? I still get to sue you. So if I got possession of this bike, even if it's not scanned at this point, if you go and do that, you're stealing it from me. The same principle applies, and anyone should be able to see that. Besides people who just want to cape for this sociopathic Karen who needs to lose her job.
I was trying to say, I think a lot of people are coping to say oh, well, she wouldn't call the cops because everybody would say she's racist if she calls the cops on black people. 1350 is a thing for a reason. People call cops on the black people all the time. There's nothing that stops anybody from calling cops on black people on a regular basis.
At the top of her lungs and accused the dude of assaulting her unborn child. There's no way she does all of those things, but still feels like, yeah, no, but
and she's acting weird
for me.
And she's acting weird the whole time. One way or the other, she's acting weird. Even if I found out that she was fully justified, I would say she was acting weird the entire time. So,
right.
I'm interested to find out more because yes, if there's actually a suit at some point where they actually have witnesses or some crap, that would be interesting to find out. Because yes, if his hand was on the bike, that changes most everything for me. Depending on the legal stuff on the jurisdiction, but yeah, that changes a lot.
You're the only right person on the right, bro. That's reasonable. All these other people are psychopaths, man. I'm dead serious. They're so I'm dead. You have to see the other conversations. Well, I'm not gonna ever upload them. And actually, I had to make the VOD. I deleted the VOD.
I've had this fight many times as well. Yes, I've had this fight with numerous people.
So sick. It's almost impossible to have decent conversations on this platform. But there's always YouTube, bro. You still do panel shows?
No, I don't.
What do you do? What do you do these days?
A lot. Debates, cover drama, talk to people.
Ever you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody to fill out a spot, you need somebody to do a debate or something, you always know you always count on me, bro. I'm pretty good for that.
Appreciate it, man. Well, and I appreciate you ending your stream so that you could talk to me. That was dope. I didn't expect you to do that.
Yeah, you've always been a really cool dude, bro. Legitimately. Never had when we've had disagreements, I might have yelled and things like that, but I do that, you know what I mean? It's whatever. But I've never ever not had a thing where it's I don't like this person. It's always been no, you're a really cool dude. I was really unhappy when you got banned.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Do you think you'll ever get back on Twitch?
No. When they banned me, their thing was it literally said, we do not unban people for these types of violations. So
what did they say you did?
I said some inappropriate stuff in a chat. So
was it hard R's?
It was inappropriate. No, it wasn't anything like that. But I don't want to repeat it because then I'll get somebody else in trouble. So.
Sure. Yeah, I got you. tough break. All right, well, there's always Kick and YouTube and all that stuff. I still wish you the best of luck, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was popping off at the time, dude. It's taken me like 3 years to get back to where I was on Twitch. It took me 2 months to get to where I was on Twitch. It's taken me 3 years to get back there on YouTube now. So it's been a ride, but
for sure.
I just got off with, do you know who Duke the Don?
No, never heard
No,
of him.
He's, he does like I don't know what they call it, like Black Manosphere type content.
Gross.
He's not one of those though. He's pretty
he's actually intelligent.
He's like going in on MLD right now, so that's why we were talking.
I don't know who MLD is.
MLD is the guy who recently said like endure. He was telling people to stay
I heard that.
in.
Just nah. That's wild. Yeah, see, that's stupid. I can't even.
That's as crazy as you think it is.
Yeah. That sounds that was the dumbest. I only heard I just saw the title like in a thumbnail. It was just like, this sounds like I didn't even waste my energy clicking it. It's just too many people have opinions and nobody has intelligence. It's gross.
It is gross. But thank you, Sick, for letting me jump on or telling him that I wanted to talk.
I didn't let you do anything. I was just giving air to Fanatiq. So
you told him. Not everybody would say, "Hey, Tom wants to come talk." So I appreciate it.
Nah, fuck him. I mean, what was gonna hurt to ask? It seemed like he was done with the conversation. We had our disagreements and the little parts we agreed on. But I mean, it never hurts to ask, dude. I wish people just did that shit.
Yep, of course. And most people I would have said no to, though. I was already kind of done. But I feel refreshed and rejuvenated. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Sick. Enjoy the stream, bro.
Are you calling me deranged, by the way, or you said you had 4 conversations, and then you said a lot of bad shit about the people you've been talking to about this scenario. How would you describe me and or our conversation? It felt like you were throwing me shade. Okay,
that wasn't my intention. But if I'm gonna be honest, I think it gets pretty ridiculous, man. I think for you to make the statement that one, like, she would never approach these men in this situation, but she would steal the phone in this situation. When you started saying things like she was taking off her badge, but it wasn't like intentional, it was just more instinct. Like that kind of stuff was when I can just tell, okay, you're off the deep end. Like that to me is just like, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. You asked me, this is the reason why I'm saying it. To me, it just reeks of dishonesty when you can say, this is instinctive for someone to take off a badge when they know they're being recorded. The fake tears was just instinctive. Like, it just seems like you're just being incredibly charitable. Like, she would never approach in these situations, but she was willing to take a phone from one of these men in this situation. No, but that was just instinct. That was just fight or flight. Man, it's just like, I know your brain isn't working at that point. So yes, I would say that qualifies. But that doesn't mean that I won't upload the conversation. But yeah, I think that was ridiculous.
Okay. I just had to figure out or gauge how much shade you were actually throwing at me because I couldn't interject. I was respecting that. So
yeah, I wasn't trying to throw shade. Listen, I am not a passive aggressive dude. I am aggressive. If you ask me or if I mean to say something, I'll say it. I'm not going to sit there and be like, anything that I do, it's going to be so on the nose that you know exactly what the freak I'm saying. I was not trying to like say it about you without saying it about you. If I think you're dumb, I'll say it. And I'm not trying to say that you're dumb right now. I'm saying, but if I think you're dumb, I'll say it to you. I think you're really stupid. Like anyone who's been around me will know when I'm saying what I feel and what I think, I'm going to say it. I have no problem just telling people how the freak I feel, what the freak I think. That's just that. I'm not going to be passive aggressive. Trust me. You do not have to worry about that. I am an aggressive nigga.